welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan and I'm a freelance writer, a published author, and a bookworm. If you're new here, I have nothing to sell you. I'm just here to share my journey as an author, and maybe you'll learn something new or we can just be friends. In this video, I'm sharing how I've started using Scrivener for my latest work in progress and how it's helped me be so much more productive and efficient. There is a month-long free trial for Scrivener, so if you like what you hear in this video, maybe you'll give it a shot. All right, a little context. I'm a plotter. I talked about how I outline my novels in this video, and the link is below. My goal is always to come up with as detailed of an outline as possible, because one thing I struggle with, which I know is the opposite of a lot of other writers, it's that my word count is always low. I think this is because as a freelance writer, I'm usually writing blogs, so I'm very used to having to make my writing as concise as possible. Now in a book, every word still matters and needs to serve a role, but of course you have much more room to elaborate, and I'm not always good at elaborating. Adding to that is the fact that even with an outline, I will get stuck on a certain plot point for weeks at a time, and that hampers my creativity and productivity even more. What ends up happening is I finish the book and it's like 40,000 words. My goal has always been to be a full-time author, and I know that in order to keep working toward that, I need to have reliable ways to remove some of these roadblocks. Enter Scrivener. I learned of this writing tool a while ago, but historically, I've always written my manuscripts in Google Docs. I am a simple human. I don't want to overcomplicate things. I just want to write. But there is such a thing as writing strategically, and I kept hearing such good things about Scrivener. So I went with the free trial, and then for Valentine's Day, my husband bought me the full paid version. Full disclosure, it is incredibly overwhelming. Scrivener can do so much that I was almost like, no thank you. But here's the thing, there's a demo, a tutorial when you first use it, and you can find tons of tips on YouTube and even TikTok. Ideas for how you could start to use the tool in more simple ways. And I've also learned a ton just by doing. You just have to dive in. If you screw something up, the world isn't going to end. You can undo it, but just start. I'm going to show you how I've set up my Scrivener account, because this to me felt like a good place to begin, just so that I could start getting comfortable with the tool. But this alone has helped me write better, faster, immediately. Okay, so here's what I did. First, I created 4 folders for Act 1, Act 2 Part 1, Act 2 Part 2, and Act 3. If you're wondering why I split this into 4 instead of 3 parts, I explained that in the video I mentioned earlier. Act 2 is just too big for me to tackle. I have to break it down. Then within those 4 folders, I created subfolders for each chapter, and within those subfolders, I add a text file for every scene. While I'm naming the files, I keep it short but include enough so that I can know at a glance what the scene is. And then to the right in Scrivener, you can include a synopsis and notes, and that's where I'll put a little more detail about what happens in that scene, usually a couple of sentences or phrases. So I kind of treat it like an expanded version of the file title. Something else I've found very helpful is the notes folder, which was included when I got Scrivener. It was already there. Any ideas I have or things that I want to come back and add later on, I've been throwing them in there so that I always know where they are. All that's great, but who cares? How did it help me? I'll be very honest. I hoped Scrivener would be helpful, but I was also a little bit skeptical, only because my thoughts were, what is this going to do that I can't do in Google Docs already? Here's the thing. Like I said, I'm a plotter, I'm an outliner. Scrivener helped me go even deeper into plotting, because in the past, I only outlined chapters and not necessarily scenes. In fact, I was against making a scene list, which I've talked about on this channel before, because when I tried that in the past, I found that it boxed me in too much. So I would outline chapters in detail and then begin writing. With Scrivener, I thought, okay, I've tried outlining scenes before, didn't like it, but this is a new approach, so I want to give it a fair chance. Hence, the outline I just showed you in my Scrivener account. By outlining not just chapters, but also scenes, so we're getting more granular, Scrivener forced me to think about my story arc in more detail, and that has pointed out to me where there are sometimes huge gaps in my novel. It gives this amazing bird's eye view so that I can identify, okay, this part's too brief, I need another scene here, this character isn't getting enough attention, and on and on and on. I do not feel boxed in because Scrivener is very flexible. What I'm finding is that I can fairly easily come up with more ideas for scenes, but I don't always know where I want to weave them in. With Scrivener, you can very easily drag and drop and rearrange whatever you want in that side menu that I showed you earlier. So now I have this extra room to just keep writing and worry about the sequence later. And because I'm writing more and more consistently, if I get stuck in Act 2 and I skip to Act 3 to keep writing, very often that helps me figure out how to get unstuck earlier on. I've always written my manuscripts sequentially. I write the chapters in order, which if that works for you, that's great. That's all that matters. And that was always how my brain worked. But I'm now seeing that allowing myself to go out of order can be a good thing. Also, we need to talk about this. This is one of Scrivener's many features. It allows you to set a total word goal and when you want to achieve it by. Then you can set a writing schedule. So you tell Scrivener, these are the days I write and even the times, and the tool will automatically calculate how many words you need to write each day to hit that goal on time. And if you pass your daily goal one day or you miss a day, it'll recalculate your daily goal so that you can still hit your target word count by the desired date. Who cares? In Google Docs, I've always had the word count showing in my document, so why does this matter? The thing is, I was not tracking it nearly this diligently, and if you're not tracking something, you can't measure it, and if you can't measure it, you can't know if it's really working or not. This lights a little bit of a fire under my hiney, which is great. I initially thought that Scrivener might be an extra step that just complicated things. If I'm starting here and I need to get here, I don't want to do this to get there. I want the most direct route. By adding in this tool, it's actually provided me a more efficient path to my end goal. I have written so much since I started using the Scrivener, and it's good writing. I was able to produce more than 10,000 words in 1 week, which for me, on the side of a full-time job and freelancing and life, that's good for me. It's certainly a lot more than I'd write otherwise. Also, this tool is forcing me to take my manuscript a little more seriously, which is important to me because while writing is my passion and my biggest hobby, again, I want to write novels for a living. So I do need to treat it a little more like a business, like a job, which to me is not a bad thing. This is just the path that I'm on. I know that Scrivener is capable of a lot more, but I also know that if I try to do too much too quickly, it's over, it's done. I have only scratched the surface and it's already been a tremendous help. So if you decide to give it a shot and need help getting going, maybe you'll try this approach. I hope this video was helpful. If you're still here, give it a thumbs up and support my channel. That's all I'm asking for. And if you want to see more from me, click on the subscribe button. All right, see you next time.